Hello everybody. Well, today it's definitely a bit nippy outside, so I'm going to make pie. Now, being a northerner, I love my pies, and I'm going to show you a northern pie whilst living down south. I live as far east as you can go before dropping into the sea. Where we are, we can, on a clear day, see France, and sometimes we can smell the garlic and onions and hear the accordions. Anyway, I'm going to be making a ham hock pie with leftover ham hock and potato with a bit of carrot and onion for Dan. I'll add a bit of leftover gravy to make it nice and moist. And for myself, I'm going to show you how to make a butter pie, which is one of my favourites. These are really popular in Lancashire and they taste delicious. And in fact, it's probably the kind of thing you would also have eaten during the Second World War. Lord Walton had a version named after him, and that didn't though have a lot of butter, but it was mainly potatoes and vegetables, either topped with more potato or encased in pastry if rations allowed it. We're not going to be eating these till tomorrow, so they will store quite happily in the fridge, and then I'll finish cooking them tomorrow for Saturday supper. So let's get down to it. I have here some potatoes. These have been washed and peeled, most of them anyway. There's a few in there that haven't. I will probably eat those for lunch. They've been soaking in a bit of water to get some of the starch out. Now I'm going to put these in the microwave, but you can, if you prefer, of course, pop them in a saucepan or in a steam basket. I've also got a little bit of carrot and a little bit of onion. I will be cooking these for a couple of minutes. I don't want the onion really cooked down. Now, if you're cooking your carrots and potatoes on the stove top, you might prefer just to sweat down the onions in a frying pan and a little bit of butter. So here we go. The onion has cooked off enough. It's starting to soften up. I'm just going to put it into this little cup here and reserve for later. And now I'm going to put the carrot and the potato back in the microwave for a few more minutes. The vegetables are cooked now, so I'm going to put them in a bowl. They need to be cold before we can fill the pie. In the meantime, we'll make some pastry. Right, before we make the pastry though, I've mashed up some of the potato. What I'm using for the ham hock pie, I've put aside. Now, the potatoes we grew and harvested are a very floury variety, but with a slightly waxy finish. I've decided to mash these up fairly quickly and dry out slightly so the mixture isn't as runny. As it cools, it will thicken. I've added a bit of butter. Now, if you want to keep your butter pie vegan, then make the pastry with the plant-based block, which looks similar to butter, but is made with coconut oil. I'm going to add some thyme as well from our garden to give it a bit of extra flavour. It smells really nice. So that's all mashed up. There's just a little bit of carrot and the potato and a bit of onion, and whatever doesn't go in the pie will go in my tummy for lunch with some cottage cheese. We're going to now weigh out 200 grams of plain flour into a bowl with a pinch of salt. Now I'm using French flour. French flour produces a really fine texture. It's amazing for pastry and cakes and breads, but you can use any other plain or all-purpose flour, including spelt flour. During the war, of course, most people used wholemeal flour because that was more readily available. In it goes. The next thing to do is sieve the flour and salt into a mixing bowl. This helps to give it a lighter texture. I have here some chopped up butter and cooking fat, but instead of these fats you can use vegan block if you want to keep your pastry vegan or vegetarian. You want about 50 grams of each, so that's 100 grams. I like the combination because I think it produces a better pastry. During the war they would have used dripping, and indeed if you have any dripping you can substitute these with dripping. In they go. And now we rub the fats into the flour until we have fine breadcrumbs. Remember to do it from a height. Put some more air into the pastry and keeps it nice and light. It takes a while, but I find it quite relaxing. If you don't like the feel of fat and flour through your fingertips, you could whiz it up in a food processor. It's entirely up to you. You can even use the back of a fork. And this looks to be about ready now. Ideally, you want to be using ice cold water. This is filtered water. I always keep a jug of it in the fridge. Dan and I and our 3 cats don't drink tap water. We either drink spring water or filtered water. The water here is not good, and Arthur suffers from idiopathic feline cystitis, so it's really important for him to have something that's been filtered or is from a spring. You just want to add enough water to bring it all together. Again, of course, this process can be done in a food processor if you prefer. Then I like to bring it all together properly with my hands, get the hands in there. Give it a little bit of a knead. Don't overwork the pastry because you won't get a nice texture. It'll be slightly elastic. I've been out for dinner before in restaurants where the dessert pastry was clearly overworked, and it's not the best experience. You want something light and slightly crumbly, which holds its shape. And this is the pastry, and I'm going to wrap it up in greaseproof paper now and pop it in the fridge to chill for about half an hour, and then we can roll the pastry out. While the pastry's chilling in the fridge, we can prep the pie tins. Now I have these foil tins. They're usually reusable 2 or 3 times. I'm going to spread a little bit of butter all over the inside of each. Be sure as well to do the top edges like that. Now I'm going to mix all the ham pie ingredients together. I've chopped up what's left of the ham hock. Nice pieces there. Now this ham hock came from the Black Pig Butchers in Deal. This was once an Oxford pig, which is a rare breed pig, and it was absolutely amazing. Dan really enjoyed his dinner. That's the leftovers, which I put in the freezer. I soaked the ham hock for about a day to get some of the salt out, then refreshed the water and then put it over the stove to simmer until tender and finished it off in the oven at about 190 for about 20 minutes. I'm adding a few frozen peas. These have been defrosted. I'm going to add some potato and onion as well. I'm not sure how much will fit in the pie tin. Probably about that much. And then that little bit will go with the butter pie filling. And that will help to thicken it a little bit more as well. I'm going to add some thyme. This is broadleaf thyme from my garden. A little bit of black pepper. Be careful adding salt because there's salt in the ham and also in the gravy here. This is onion gravy. We had some earlier in the week. Nothing gets wasted in this house. Give it a good mix all together. It will help to give it a bit of moisture when it goes in the oven to bake. I'm now going to prep my butter pie filling. This is the mash. I'm going to put some of this in a bowl. It's thickened up quite well already. And I'm going to add that bit of potato as well. I'm also going to add a little bit of salt. I added pepper to the potato and other vegetables when I mashed them, so at this stage we don't need any more pepper. I will add a little bit more butter. There we go, because after all it is butter pie. I'm leaving it in small chunks like that. The rest of the pastry has gone in the fridge, ready for the lid. It's important to keep your pastry chilled rather than keep it out at room temperature. You'll get a better result. That fits perfectly, look. It's a lovely consistency. This is the butter pie. Spoon the mixture in. It will firm up overnight in its pastry casing in the fridge. That looks absolutely gorgeous. Now for the pastry lids. I've torn off a bit more dough from the pastry ball and I'm rolling it out, and this time I am going to use this cup That's nice. Do one circle, a bit bigger. And what I always do is I put the mark in the middle first. I'm going to do my pie first. Mine's the vegetarian one. The circle goes on top. And wet the edges. If you've got a pastry brush, you can use that, but I can't be bothered to find it. Late night last night, Dan and I went to one of our local pubs. The Green Hop Ale is out. It's always a special time of year at the Gad's Brewery here in Ramsgate. There we go. This year's Green Hop Ale is particularly delicious. And now I'll do the other one. And this is Dan's, so I'm doing the top slightly different as well. And there we have it. They look like two really old-fashioned pies. They're going in the refrigerator now, covered, and I'll be cooking those tomorrow evening. It also allows the flavours to develop overnight, so it'll be a much tastier pie. It's Saturday today, and today is the day these lovely pies get cooked. There they are. I'm just going to brush them with a little egg wash. This helps to give it a nice golden colour whilst making sure that all the edges are sealed. It really is worth spending the time doing this. It's only about a minute or two. It doesn't take long. The oven is heating up to 190 Celsius, which is 375 Fahrenheit, gas 5. And then once the oven has reached temperature, I'll pop them in. I made some mushy peas recently from scratch and had some left over. I've watered them down a bit because I'm going to cook them up again on the stove top, and the liquid tends to evaporate fairly quickly, I find, with homemade mushy peas. So there's enough liquid in here to make sure that the mushy peas are nice and hot and also smooth and not too thick. There's also some fresh mint in there because I like minted peas. And then we also have some leftover gravy from earlier in the week. As you might remember, I put some in Dan's ham hock pie when I made it yesterday. I've heated up this lovely onion gravy with a drop of cider. So that's ready to go on the table. These are the beautiful pies that have been in the oven. They've had about 35 minutes, so I'm going to pop those on the plate. I'm going to put some peas on each plate. This is perfect for a Saturday supper when we've been to a Macmillan earlier today and had cake and a sandwich afterwards because all the sausage rolls had gone and there was nothing else savoury. I always need something savoury. I can't just eat cake. But we had a very nice time with quite a lot of people, and the house is gorgeous. It overlooks a field with horses in and the sea. So we'll get these out on the table now and give them a try. I've left the pie for now in its tin because it looks like the liquid has spilled out a little bit, so Dan can do his own pie. And this is what the pie looks like. Isn't that gorgeous? And here we have the tin ready for another use. I think Dan's might be okay as well. It needs a little bit of a soak. But I want to get Dan's reaction first because I want to see whether he likes the pie I've created for him.
This looks gorgeous. Ham, peas, vegetables in it, potato. This is really nice. It looks really nice. I'll give it a try. Pastry's nice and light, nice and flat, nice and well seasoned.
How does the filling combination work?
Really well. Top notch, that is.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Excellent. What mark would you give me then? Try it with the peas. See what you think of the peas and then give me a score. And don't forget your gravy. You need to have it with your gravy as well.
I'll try it with some gravy. I think full marks for this. It's really nice.
Really? What, 10 out of 10?
I think so, yeah.
Try it with the peas and the gravy.
With the peas, it's very nice. And the gravy.
Is there enough ham in there for you?
No, plenty of ham. Lovely.
Oh, thanks,
Very
babe.
generous.
I'm glad you enjoy that. Would you eat it again?
No, definitely. Be careful, otherwise I'll be eating yours as well.
This potato is still a little bit soft. We won't grow this variety of potatoes again. They're very good for very buttery, sloppy mash that you get in fancy restaurants, but not quite the texture we like. The flavours work really well though. I've put enough seasoning in the potato so it's not bland. The pastry I'm really pleased with. That's French flour. It produces the most amazingly light pastry, whether you use butter, lard, vegan block, stalk, margarine. The results are always first class. It's nice and crispy, and then it's nice and crumbly as well on the inside. And it goes really well with the peas. I'm very happy with that. I'll try it with some of my gravy. The gravy I find always peps up a butter pie because of course there's no meat in it. And the main protein you've got in there is the butter in the pastry, and the peas and the butter in the filling. Very happy. Thanks for watching. Please like, because it helps the algorithm, and share and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now.